Looking down from the rocky banks of Jacob's Well, you'd never guess the danger hiding below. It looks like a perfect swimming hole, crystal clear water surrounded by lush greenery and a peaceful Texas landscape. There are no sharks here, no ferocious predators, and no raging underwater currents. Yet this quiet, unassuming spring is one of the most fatal diving locations on the planet. The water's absolute clarity is actually its greatest weapon. Because you can see so far down, your brain registers the environment as safe and welcoming, practically inviting you to explore further. That initial invocation is what gets people killed. The spring doesn't actively attack anyone. It relies entirely on a diver's own ego. They look at the still water, assume they are fully in control, and blindly enter a volatile, unforgiving cave system. As you drop below the surface, the first 30 feet feel completely routine. You sink straight down into a wide sunlit cavern. Even a casual weekend swimmer without specialized gear can reach this floor and feel totally secure. This effortless descent creates a powerful psychological trap. Because the first zone is easy, divers assume the rest of the cave will be just as manageable, prompting them to push past the limits of their training. But as soon as you leave that main shaft, the environment turns on you. The sunlight entirely disappears, and the rock walls rapidly converge, forcing you into a claustrophobic tunnel barely 2 feet across. To navigate this section, infamously known as the squeeze, divers have to strip off their oxygen tanks. They must physically shove their only air supply ahead of them while wriggling through the jagged limestone passageway. In 1978, 2 experienced divers entered this exact tunnel. They meticulously planned their dive and checked their gear, confident their skills would carry them through. Roughly 100 feet deep, Courtney became hopelessly wedged in the rock. Taylor frantically tried pulling his partner free, altering his angle and desperately yanking at his fins, but the cave held on. Eventually, trapped in the dark, Courtney's oxygen simply ran out. Down there, a snagged fin or a caught strap is a death sentence. You can't turn around, you can't reach the surface, and the minutes of breathable air tick down to 0. If a diver somehow survives the squeeze, they descend into an even darker maze. Here, the walls are coated in microscopic silt, and the ceilings are made of loose gravel. In this diagram, a single misplaced fin kick disturbs the microscopic silt. Instantly, an opaque cloud engulfs the tunnel, eliminating visibility. Even worse, tiny vibrations from exhaled bubbles striking the ceiling can trigger a sudden rockfall, sealing the passage behind you. That precise geological trap claimed the lives of Kent Maupin and Mark Powell in 1979. They navigated the tightest sections, but ultimately triggered a massive rock slide that permanently walled off their only exit. The ensuing collapses made the cave so structurally volatile that rescue teams abandoned the bodies. It took nearly 2 decades to finally recover both divers. The depths of Jacob's Well are an actively degrading geological hazard. Once the rocks shift, any hope of an underwater rescue becomes physically impossible. The core failure driving these tragedies is a massive overestimation of skill. People mistakenly assume that years of open ocean scuba diving prepare them for the zero-error discipline of cave diving. Experience guarantees absolutely nothing here. In 1984, an expert with 12 years of diving credentials ventured into the lower chambers. He never made it back out, and his body was eventually found next to a completely empty oxygen tank. Despite the mounting death toll, portions of the diving community pushed back. When authorities installed iron grates to block the deepest tunnels, divers actively ripped them apart, leaving behind defiant notes declaring, "You can't keep us out." To finally stop the fatalities, the local government stepped in. In 2010, they designated the area a protected zone, strictly banning all casual diving. Nature's deadliest hazards rarely look like monsters. Jacob's Well proves that when humans trust a beautiful surface and let their ego override their preparation, the environment will silently and efficiently claim their lives.